All right, I'm going to share my screen.
What about Tuesdays before team meeting?
Ooh, I do like those ideas. Yeah.
I haven't had kids yet. I still go to sleep in.
Oh, enjoy those days. You're not gonna have any sleep for years.
Okay, let's do a CMA. Before we dive too deep into this, I want to talk about like the whole idea behind the CMAs. So we want to find like imagine that you made an iPhone, the exact same as an iPhone, and you wanted to go sell it. Or if you had access to iPhones and you were going to go sell them. The easiest thing to do would be look up what iPhones are selling for and sell it at that price or around that price. And then if you think, well, my iPhones are a little bit better because I'm going to include a case or they're prettier or I painted on them or whatever, maybe it's more money. Maybe you're going to try to undercut the market to sell more and you sell them for a little bit less. We're running the same idea. Now, the problem that we have is that every house is different. So our ideal goal is to find a house that's the exact same, that's next door, that sold yesterday. Now that will never, ever happen. Every once in a while you have a condo that's next door that sold very recently. But that might be a little bit off too, because your condo might be nicer. Maybe you did more upgrades. Maybe you've taken care of it where the neighbors didn't, or vice versa. So that's what we're trying to do as we price out homes. Now, there's a couple ways to look at this. How appraisers look is they look in the rearview mirror. What sold will determine on what our price is. But we are looking more into the future. So we want to look at under contract listings as well, because they will become our comps when we do sell them. And we want to make sure that we sell even if everyone else isn't selling. So we need to look at the active properties as well. So we're going to do all of this as we try to price out a home. And we're going to do this. If you have the MLS, we'll do it together. If you don't, you just get to watch and take notes. So who has a house that they want to know what they're worth? Okay, we will not start with a difficult one. Let's start easy. Rachel, you have one? Okay, so we're going to do this all together. So it has this little search address bar up here in the MLS that you see. Do not use that. That is only good at finding listings that are like on the market right now. So if someone's like, oh, I saw my neighbors on the market and their house is this and this and that. That's a great thing to do. But otherwise, we're going to go on search and we're going to search the address is my favorite way to do it. Then I always click clear criteria just so there's nothing impeding the matches. So, okay, what's the address? Okay, so you'll notice I did 428, no east. And all I did was steep. I didn't do the mountain drive and everything like that. It found 9 results. So let's see how we did. Steeplechase, steep mountain. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do the city is Draper. Just to, because the other one wasn't in Draper. So we can see every time that this house has been on the market. Now, your view might not look exactly the same as mine as you're doing this because you can customize the column display. So mine might be a little bit different, but it's probably pretty similar. So here I have mine sorted by MLS number because this goes up every time that there's a new listing. So this top one is the most recent time that it was on the market. The bottom is the very first time it was on the market. So we can kind of see how it's gone. S stands for sold. EXP stands for expired, which makes me wonder why they named the brokerage that, because you don't want expired listings, but EXP is a brokerage. I don't know. I wasn't consulted in naming them, so they're expired. And so it has been sold 4 times and expired 3 times. So they listed it and didn't sell it. And we can dive into any time that it was listed and see what happened and when it was, but I only have the sold date in mind. So let's look at the last time that it sold, because that's the most important to us. But there's no photos. I want to see pictures. Yeah, come sit close. So here's a picture of the house. Some of them is not loading. Oh, this looks like, look at this. If this is the picture for your house, this means you want an investor to buy it.
That's a good look.
Yeah. Let's see if this other, by the way, it did not sell with that one. Let's see if this one has more photos for us. This is when someone actually lived there. So have you been in this house recently? Okay. So this is our first problem that we're going to run into. This house, with what we're seeing on the pictures, looks nothing like it currently looks. I wonder if it's just that first picture that's not available. Something's going on with the MLS. We can't see our pictures, which is fine. So we can see, I always like to start with the history of like the owners. And you might know some information or we might be finding it all out. So with this house, we can see it was originally listed for $339. It sold for $300. There was a listing condition. Price was approved by third party. This means that it was a short sale. So it was like in foreclosure. The sellers worked with the bank to sell it short of what they owed. Hence that last picture that we saw that had garbage bags and it looked like it was trashed. It was a short sale. The bank took over, people moved out. So we can see that they sold it. They bought it with an FHA loan in 2015. If we click on the tax ID number here, we can see a little bit more information because it will tell us even more. So some of the things, and it is not easy to see this, which is why I don't start with tax data. Some people will start here, and then you'll notice that there's a button that says previous MLS listings. So sometimes it's easier to start on the tax data when you're finding it. Maybe you know their name, but you don't know their address. You can always start here for something like that. Nathan, is that your brother? And Melanie, the wife. So they own it together, which is always an important thing to look at, is who is, because this is who is on title. So as you go to this listing appointment, you know that both Nathan and Melanie need to sign documents to sell the house. I'm pretty sure this JT here means joint tenant, which is how most husbands and wives sell things. If you guys remember this, there's like tenant in common, joint tenants type of an idea. That just means if one dies, the other takes over 100% is the easiest way to explain that. So we can come down here into the recorder's data to see what happened. So in 2015, there was a warranty deed. Great. I don't know what that really means. Sometimes here it will tell us, you know what, let's go to a different view.
They show you there.
Usually, sometimes. So let's see if this other view is going to be nicer for us. So I just clicked, there's some county links. So we have the assessor and the recorders. So this is the assessors. We can just pull up the parcel number and see what information they give us. This is very similar. Property tax, legal. So here's all about the house according to the county. What's this recorders? Is this what we really want? No. Somewhere in here, it's going to tell us. Oh, here we go. No. I'm trying to find a better view for this. This is what I want. This is exactly where I was. Mm, No. All right. Salt Lake, Utah, every county is different. So every time I use this, I feel like I'm relearning what's going on. Um, but in this, it kind of gives you, so this recorder's data, that kind of gives you a breakdown of what happened. So like they ended up transferring it here, but they should also have put what they owe on it. No, see, this is 2006. It said that they got a $295,000 loan. 2015. See, for some reason, it doesn't tell us. So we don't know how much they owe because we don't know how much loan they got. So we can just make things up, right? An FHA loan, that's the lowest down payment, which is 3.5% on an FHA loan. So we could assume that they bought their house for 300,000, put 3.5% down, which is 9,000 and something. 3% is 9,000. I can do that math real easy. You give me that 0.5%, I'm lost. 1,500. So they put down like probably $10,500 in 2015. Now there was not another recorder's data saying that they had another loan that they took out on. So I imagine that that's the only loan that they have was in 2015, and they've had that ever since. We could go to AI and say, hey, if I bought this house with an FHA loan at 3.5% down this date, what do you think my interest rate was? And then assume that I only made the minimum payment, how much would I still owe? So you can kind of guess with a few of these things. And AI is really good at breaking that all down for you. But I like to have an idea, because imagine that you did like a cash out refi a couple of years ago and just like took out all the money that you possibly could from your house. And then you had a HELOC and you like basically didn't have any equity because you've borrowed against it as much as you could. And if this was the case, like when I'm coming in here, if someone bought their house in 2015 for $300,000, they probably have a bunch of equity. They've owned it for 11 years. Our market has gone up every single year since then, basically. So they have equity. But if they had done cash out refis and HELOCs and all of this, like they might not actually be getting a lot of money. And so we would want to know as much of that as we can, because it's a different appointment when we do that. Usually in this recorder's data, it will show you stuff. But it's an unknown because it's a lien, but you can, like if you had $100,000 HELOC, you could have $0 on the HELOC, or you could have $100,000 on the HELOC, and anywhere in between. So it's a little bit more difficult. So okay, so let's actually start to price out this home together. So I'm going to copy the MLS number and click open here, a new tab. And I'm going to even do it in a whole new window. Got it. Then we're going to go to CMA. Now there's this cloud CMA, which is my favorite way to present a CMA. But I like to create it in Utah real estate. So create new URE CMA is what I click. It always gives you this pop-up, which drives me nuts. And we're just going to populate the form. All this is going to do is, like, if you look at like what we're looking at, there's no year built or square footage or anything. If you populate the form by the MLS number, or even by the tax ID, if we couldn't find it on the MLS, it's going to pre-populate a bunch of information for us. So now we have like year built, square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, things like that. So what we're doing here is we're going to take the whole market and we're going to start to move closer to the house and to when it was sold, right? Our best property is our next door neighbor that sold yesterday. That's the exact same. And so we're going to start constricting our search criteria. So I always like to put the city in here. It brings in a zip code, but every once in a while, the zip code covers a couple of cities, and appraisers typically don't like to go outside of the city to go get a property. Even like me, I am 1 street away from South Jordan. Like I am so close to South Jordan. If my exact same floor plan sold in South Jordan, 2 streets over, they probably wouldn't use that, even though I'm 2 streets away from it, because we're different cities. I don't know why. The next biggest thing that you need to for sure add is the status. Because if I listed my house for $10 million, no one is going to buy it. And that's not important to us. We don't want to use that as a comp because it's made up. So we only want what's actively on the market right now, our competition, what's under contract, because when we sell, these are going to be our next comps because they're going to be sold by the time that we are sold. Active no-show is like the coming up listings, like you can't show it, but it's going active. Backup is similar to under contract, but you can still show it. And then sold. These are the most important. Withdrawn just means they took it off the market, maybe just for a time, and then they're going to put it back on. We don't know. Expired means it didn't sell, so their listing agreement actually expired. And canceled means they canceled with that listing agent. And so we don't care about those because those didn't sell. So you'll see on the left, we have 26 matches here. We're going to keep going. Appraisers don't like to use anything over 6 months, so I just default to number of the days back to be 120. So we're down, or 180, thanks. So we're down to 11 properties. Now, we didn't change anything from year built, square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, acreage, anything like that. So this is very generic right now. This is where we go from a science to an art with like, what are we actually including? Because if a property is awesome, like this condo right here, is that the same as a condo that's in Vineyard or that's on the other side of Orem? Like there's like pros and cons to every area and it's hard to know. So we have 11. Let's just start with that. Let's just look at these. I always like to click this grid view so we can see what we're working with. Now, if you remember, let's see, this one has a front picture. This is the property we're working with. Is it really a 2-story house? Like you walk in and you just go upstairs? Or is it like, it's not like a multi-level where you like have like the kitchen and then there's 3 steps down or whatever to the whole main level's on the main level. Okay. Okay. From the picture, it kind of looked like a split level. So, but we are only looking at 2 stories. So, okay, so this is what we're looking at. It's kind of hard to see. The other thing that we can do, that I will often do is let's just pull it up on Google. So this is what we're looking at. Yeah. And somewhere, this was in 2016. So this is like right as he owned it for a year. So this isn't even a good indication of what it looks like. It could look completely different. So, okay. So as we're comparing it, I like to start with things that look the most similar, right? So we only have a 2-car garage. A lot of these are 3-car garage, 3-car, 3-car. I don't know about that one. 3-car, 3-car. So those aren't necessarily bad. It's just, it's not the same. So we're not apples to apples yet. We're real close to it. But adding a 3rd-car garage, it would cost an amount of money. And in theory, they could add a 3rd-car garage and maybe spend, I don't know, 15, 20 grand. We could ask ChatGPT what that costs. This house doesn't seem too dissimilar from it. So let's just click on it. So, okay. To remember some things. So we are just over 3,000 square feet on 0.1 acres with a finished basement. So just so we can kind of contrast with what we're finding. Yeah. And finished basement. Yeah. I just want to like figure out how close are we to some of these things. Like year built doesn't matter as much to me because if we're built in 98 and you were built in 2002, does that change the value? No, it probably changes a little bit of the style, but if you've upgraded, they've upgraded. Like it's hard to know. So this one, as we just look at it real quick, so 3,300 square feet. So it's about 300 square feet bigger. The acres is 0.23, which is 0.05 bigger, and the basement's basically finished fully as well. So very similar, it's just a little bit bigger. So in those terms, without looking at the pictures, without knowing condition, should this one be worth more or less than ours? More. So if this was the next door neighbor that sold, it should be worth more because it's just nicer. Now, it could be on a worse road, it could be in a worse area, it could have all of those. So maybe that's not all true, or it's not as nice. So I always like to check this out because as you price out a home, you're going to be talking to the sellers about the story of all of the other comps, and they might know some of these things. It was listed at 729. It was on the market for 261 days before it ultimately sold at 690. And it also had 10,000 in concessions, which is basically money out of the seller's pocket as well, because they paid 10,000 towards the buyer's closing costs. And so really the sellers got it for 680 is kind of what their math is. It was a conventional loan under contract for 43 days, so longer than normal. Just kind of interesting things to know as you're looking at these. And this one sold, it was under contract after Thanksgiving, closed the first of the year. So we're probably, well, and let's look at this. Let's look at the pictures. So, yeah, definitely upgraded the railing. Do we call this flooring an upgrade? I don't. I don't like that. It's got a fireplace, open area for the kitchen. Looks like the cheaper type of countertops. What are these called? Formica. Um, so not as nice, but great color, great countertops. Yes. So you'll notice like this picture doesn't have a table. They had AI add that in. So you could just imagine what it looks like. I like that it calls it out if you do this. Because it is very different when you're expecting a staged home and you walk into an empty home. Yeah, it's actually really super cheap to do things like this. I think normal AI, like ChatGPT, could probably do this for you. If you said, here's my kitchen, put this table in it, and I gave it 2 pictures, it could do that for you. So, which is also really fun, by the way, if you're like walking through a house, like let's imagine you walk through this house and they're like, I hate this. Where'd the fireplace go? I hate this look of the fireplace. And you could take a picture of it. You could go to Pinterest and find a cool fireplace and say, hey, what would this room look like if I change this fireplace to look like this Pinterest fireplace? And it would show you exactly what it would look like. And then, well, this is more like for your buyers. You could do that. Yeah. If they're like, oh, I hate that fireplace, you take a picture and be like, what if we change this? What would this room look like? And then you could show them a picture, like, and it would take, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. So cool things that AI can do while you're showing houses. So I always like to look at a couple of things when I'm judging houses. So one of the things I want to always mention is the bathrooms, kitchens and bathrooms, right? Because these are the most expensive. If you need to replace carpet and paint, that is the cheapest, easiest thing that you can do in a house. If you need to redo a kitchen, that's very expensive. Bathrooms are expensive. So yeah, like looks like great countertops here. They have this little interesting fireplace. I don't know if you're a fan of that in between the bathroom, like the see-through things. Some people love that. I think it's weird, but whatever. So you can't actually close your bathroom in. Like, I don't know. It's probably a huge upgrade though. But so like, yeah, very typical 2000 kitchen type idea or bathroom. Really nice closet. Look at that. Like that a lot. Um, so we can kind of just judge how it is based off this. Rachel, when was the last time you were in your brother's house? Okay, so you know, how does this compare upgrades and all of that wise? Okay, way nicer. Okay. Ooh. Oh, did this? They say it doesn't, and I wasn't paying enough attention to the basement. A little kitchenette. This is why when I do a comps before a listing presentation, I don't tell people what their house is worth because it depends. If they have a really nice upgraded house, or they added a whole bunch of things, they finished their basement, like all of these different things that could be changing, you are going to be wrong with your price. So if you walk in there and be like, "Yep, you're 665, I know it," and then you put that down, and they're like, "Oh, okay, so we just redid our kitchen and all of our bathrooms, and we added a basketball hoop in the backyard, a pickleball court," like all of these things. You're like, "Oh, wait, I'm wrong with my price." So I want to look at all of the comps that are similar because they're going to be all over the place too. So we might even look at some that are nicer than this. And so this way that I'm doing is more of a shoot from the hip type of an idea rather than a science. And I think that that's better because it's hard to do science. For example, Zillow, if you go get a Zestimate of your home, it has a little disclaimer saying it could be 7% off in either direction. So that's a 14% swing from one end to the other. That's a big deal. And so they have like almost unlimited money to go try to figure that out. They have scienced the crap out of their Zestimate, and they are still wrong a lot of the time. So we aren't going to out science Zillow, but we can out know the market and all of the other things. So that's why we're shooting from the hip a little bit more. So with this house specifically, so it is bigger than us. It has a little bit bigger yard, but we are nicer. So if buyers saw both of these houses, would you rather want 300 square feet more or a nicer house? Okay, you all want nicer houses. Some people want bigger. It's always hard to know. So with this selling for 690, we might be about that or a little bit higher. Now we're only one comp into it, but I always like to put that in my mind, like, okay, well, we're better than this, and somehow this sold for 690. And if we are better than this comp, we are probably better than this price. So I'm going to put that in my mind. Now, when I'm doing this for real, I'm going to write down all of these MLS numbers and notes and everything like this so I remember this, because we have 11 houses that we can look at already with our first initial search. So not bad. So now we could start to look at like some of these outliers here to see what's going on different. Like this one's 1.2. It's the exact same size house, but it's 0.9 acres. So I don't like that one because that's way more land, and that's probably why it got the 1.2 is just for the land. So that's not a great comp for us, even though it's the exact same house. 685, this one looks similar-ish, but it's smaller and it's got a third car garage. I don't know. This one's smaller than ours, 2,600, a little bit bigger, finished basement. It sold for 700. So it originally listed at 699. Someone paid $1,000 more than that. And so here's a smaller house for us to judge. I feel like it looks kind of similar-ish, right? Even all the trees right there kind of blocking the view. Nice entry with the fireplace. Yeah. Big open feel. So like even the like look at how like high the ceilings are, everything like that. This is gonna feel open, except for the kitchen. I don't know why they did these stupid walls. Like make this open. Yeah. And then the kitchen is just a big, yeah. I don't like this kitchen. By the way, this is our time to just judge everyone. This is like the best part about it. You just like, yeah, giant fridge. Oh no, that's not actually giant. It's normal. Yeah. Um, yeah. So weird kitchen. You don't really have an area for a dining. That looks like they use dining behind there. Nice deck. Um, bathrooms. You got kind of boring bathrooms. You got the wall, the mirrored wall. Yeah. Makes your room twice as big. Little loft up top with a uh, camping bedroom. Family room, basement. Looks like it's got a full kitchen down here with the walkout. Well, it doesn't have a fridge, but I wonder if you could put a fridge in there. Doesn't have a stove. Why would you do all of that and not do more of a kitchen? Oh, it just has like that. Yeah, it doesn't have an oven. Looks like you can't use that as a real kitchen. Nice backyard, long and skinny. Floor plan if we would want to. So, better or worse, Rachel? Worse. So 700,000, 2,600 square feet, a little bit bigger acre, but it's probably not even going to feel bigger. 0.05, that doesn't feel too different. Um, and worse. So we are probably more than 700. Like that last one was 690, we were better. This one's 700. This one sold the last day of the year for a conventional loan, 2,500 in closing costs. So interesting. Interesting. So here's someone that's probably thinking the same as us. They're listed at 729. They've been on the market for 30 days. So they're like, oh, well, we're better than these other two. So let's go above them, right? They chose 30 grand higher than that last one. They're 100 square feet bigger than us, but a smaller yard by a little bit. Now, this one is active on the market. So this is literally the competition. If you listed today, this would be the competition. And so I always like to judge people like this is their remarks, which is smaller than their agent remarks, which is crazy to me. I don't have that much to say to agents. I have way more to say to buyers, but not this agent, not Scott. So then we can judge this house. Small kitchen. It's dated. Um, feels very enclosed. These pictures aren't great either. Like very dark. It looks like someone took them like with their phone. Weird angles. Dated bathrooms. Not showing very much. This agent has done a disservice to their clients because these are not great pictures. When you see these, you're not shouting, I want to go see this house. Yeah. Let's turn on all the lights. Let's open up all the blinds. Let's use a good photographer that can do all of this. So uh, definitely some work to do. But right off the bat, I would say they're overpriced. We looked at two other houses that sold. Both of them looked better than this house, and they sold for less money than this did. So I would imagine that this house is overpriced. Now we haven't done too much about like going into the neighborhoods, like certain neighborhoods are just better, right? Like my neighborhood is like old, but we're not the oldest in the area. We're like the second oldest in the area. Like right next to us is like homes that are similar to all of ours, but they're just newer and nicer. And when I say newer and nicer, I'm like, we were built in 95. We were the last house built in the neighborhood, and they were built in like 2000. So they're like still old, but they're just newer. And so they're like different floor plans, things like that. You go across the main road from us, and it's the old neighborhood, like everything built in the 80s. But we are all close to each other. So some of us will be comps to each other. But me living there, I'm like, this doesn't feel like a comp to that kind of an idea. We did nothing like diving into areas like that. You can go crazy in things like that. Now, the thing is, most buyers don't know these things because ultimately you want to price this so buyers show up and want it. So if you're like, I want to live in Riverton, that's almost South Jordan, almost Draper, like my area, you're not going to know the difference between, oh, this one was built in 05 and this one was built in 95. Like that's the difference that you will see. But I know like those houses are newer and nicer. Yeah, sometimes schools matter. Yeah. So this is more like people might be willing to take lesser of a house for the exact area that they need. You, yeah, yeah. So is South Jordan. My house is cheaper than like 2 blocks away. Houses are way more expensive.
James.
Yeah,
Two houses across the street.
yeah. It's crazy. Crazy. But so like imagine if someone's like, I need to live in this school boundary. Like if that's more important than you having like a completely finished basement, you might be able to look past something because that's more of a priority. But not everyone is like that. You know, some people are like, well, we're moving anyway. Like we're losing all the neighborhood friends. It doesn't matter with some of these other things. So, um, oh, here's one. 675. So right in between these two that look like they sold, it's 3,100 square feet, so 100 bigger than us. 0.12, so smaller lot. So maybe those cancel out. Maybe the lot feels smaller, but it doesn't have a finished basement, where the two solds we looked at did. So this looks really nice. Look at these floors. Looks really nice. Granite countertops, still like an older kitchen kind of layout with that like little U shape, the peninsula. Nice big open room. Open concept, little dining area for you. Family room tucked back, but like this looks nice. Like they did a good job, right? Good, good. Decent room. Looks like, dang it. Where'd you go? How do I do that? All right. It worked. Looks like the bathroom's nice. Bedrooms are nice. Look at that. How do you take a picture without the camera? Oh, fancy. Now we have an unfinished basement. So if we're just as nice and just look like this, but we have a finished basement, we are going to be better in terms of the cost of finishing that basement, typically. The one thing it doesn't usually cover is the labor cost. So if someone's like, yeah, that'd be 50 grand to finish your basement, like minus a little bit of money, and that's probably what it will do. And then you have like, is this the house? Or is this the house? Either way, these are tight lots. Houses are pretty close to each other where we have RV parking. So I would say that we beat this house, right? Now this house is active, so who knows what it will actually sell for. But if you listed and this was the same house that they went to, like the same day you went back to back, I think we win over this house. Because if we're just as nice, but we have RV parking, we have more of a yard, and we have the same feel on the inside and the finished basement, like we win. So, under contract, how many car garages this has? 2 car garage. 2,600. See, now this is crazy to me. So, original list price, 725. They raised the price $21,000. They went under contract. Wait, let's look at this history. All right, so we went active. Then that same day, they made a bunch of changes and changed it to active no-show. Then the next day, they said, now we're ready, and we went active. The same day they went active, they went under contract. Then a week later, they raised the price by $21,000.
Somebody already wants it. The price is too low.
But they're under contract with someone. So I don't know why they changed the price to be higher while they're under contract. Very strange.
Because in the secondary offer.
Maybe. Like, it's kind of weird that if that would be their thing. So, okay, with this one smaller than us, on the same size lot, finished basement, what do you expect as we look through the pictures? With this one, I don't know what it's really under contract at, but 725 is what it listed for. Someone made an offer the same day it went live. Then they raised their price 7 days later. So it's got to be nice, right? Okay, let's judge them. So yeah, great floor. Staged well. Kitchen looks great. It looks newer, right? Still has kind of the same kind of layout, but yeah, I would like that way more than this. The microwave's way too small.
That might be a replacement.
Yeah. I've been trying to decide if I would like a lower microwave like that, because it'd be kind of nice. Like kids could get in and out of it, but then kids could get in and out of it. So I'm like, ooh, yeah.
Iron Man toy.
Yeah. Oh, if I could tell you how many things my kids have put in microwaves that are like wrong, like they have these mac and cheese things, like instant mac and cheese things that you just add water and you put it in. And yes, it's the worst. My children will put them in without putting water in it. And they like melt and light on fire. We bought a new microwave a couple weeks ago.
So,
Fire department didn't come. We're good. Yeah, but so this one it's nice. So nice bathroom, nice backyard, garage, great.
people don't finish their garages.
Yeah. Garages typically don't sell houses, but I love a finished garage. Yeah. Like typically they just throw up sheetrock and call it good. But like I want to like mud and tape, paint it.
That's
Oh, when you walk in it, you're gonna be like, this is how a garage should feel. Yeah. Every time that I want to do that in my garage, I'm like, I don't know how to mud and tape. And I have like a weird angle that's really high up. I'm like, this would be awful for me to do. And I would rather do 1,000 other things in my house. So
still people buy one of those 10-foot paint rollers.
What do you think?
Paint roller with a texture on it. Just
Put it out in the works. What about if the garage is epoxy and finish?
maybe. I think yeah, it's probably not like a great flipping strategy, but
Like if
yeah.
you get that.
yeah, you're way more likely to like that in the house. Like you'd walk into the garage and be like, this is nice.
get 2 houses and one has a finished garage, one doesn't.
Yeah,
It is a good selling.
yeah. Especially if you care about your cars, you have nice cars and things like that, like it's going to be a big deal. So, okay, not knowing what this story is, it seems like this is a great or going to be a great comp for us because it is smaller on the same size lot and we're just as nice or not, if not nicer. So if this really does sell for 756 or 725 or whatever we're at, this is going to cause us to think we should be higher, right? Because we have more square footage and we're just as nice. So, okay, we haven't really gone through all of this, but just with what we've seen, I'm curious, what do you guys want to price this home at? 730 is what you're saying. Okay.
For 756.
What if we're walking through the house today, like you're listing appointments today and you find all of this? Rachel says 730. What else are you guys saying? Are you guys higher, lower? And there's no wrong answer.
Always do a reduction.
750 with reductions. What were you saying, Abby? 760 maybe? Yeah, if this one's 756, like maybe. Yeah. Okay, let me tell you who's right and wrong. Yes.
We had a new, like, do they want to sell quick? He's saying, because this is a possible,
Yeah.
he wants us to price it high. Absolutely. They can want to sell.
Yeah. They call it the make me move price. Yeah.
760.
You know what they want. If they're trying to get out quick, then you might, just so you have a number. If they have an idea, that's about.
Yes. So here's every seller in the world would be like, I would move if I could get this amount of money. Every one of you also has the same number in your house, right? Even if you're renting and someone's like, hey, I'll give you this much money to move out of your rental. Like there is a number. Yeah. Like yours might be a ridiculous number. Yes, it might be ridiculous. So this number is constantly changing based on your life. If your life stays basically the same, your number will change based off of how you feel the market is going, right? So if you say my number is 500 and your house is really worth 400, when the market goes up to 500, your number is no longer 500. You're now 600. So that's how every seller tends to work in their mind, unless something in their life changes, and it might be small, subtle things. Like, I hate that I have to walk up 3 stairs from my family room to get to my kitchen. Drives me nuts. If I trip and fall on one of those stairs one day, that might be like the last straw, and I'm like, I'm done. So it's all over the place. With this last one, I think we need to be a little bit higher. I don't know what this 556 is. You could call the seller, yeah. So you call Mitch and be like, Mitch, I'm gonna list the house and you seem like a great comp to my house, but I'm so confused. Like you go on the market, you go active, no show, you go active, you go under contract, like I felt like no one's seen the house, and then you raise the value, like what's going on here? He probably won't tell you what he's under contract for. You could ask him, but he shouldn't tell you, because if he goes, yeah, we're actually under contract for 700, and then it falls out of contract, all of a sudden, you know, okay, these sellers would be willing to accept 700. So let's go find a buyer and be like, hey, I know of this listing that's listed at 725 that you could get for 700. That's amazing. And you go market that. So like he shouldn't tell you what they're listed for, or under contract for, but he might give you an idea. Like he might say like, yeah, we're above. Yeah, like, or what's the story? What's going on? What's my thinking here? And so then you have this story. So this is why whenever you're going to have a listing presentation, I would always, like a day or two before, start doing this, because we were in here for an hour. Yeah, we did some explaining and things like that, but it might take you a full hour or two to really figure the story of what's going on if you need to call some people and dive into some more details there. So now, with all of this, I'll tell you who's right and wrong about their prices. Everyone's right and everyone's wrong. So we don't know what this house is going to ultimately sell for, meaning Rachel's client's house. It could sell for more, it could sell for less. We need a starting point. So I would always have a range that I come up with. Like if I walked into this house and Nate's his name, if Nate's like, I want to sell it for 750, like if we got all the way through the listing and he's like 750, I'm like, you know what? This house that's on the market, that's under contract, gives me a thought that 750 may be a real number. But then when you look at some of these other houses that sold for closer to 700, I think he might be crazy. And I could be thinking we might need to be lower. Like maybe the 725, like that feels more real to me. But we don't have to ultimately decide the price. The sellers decide the price. Now, what you want to do is bring them back to reality, right? Like we talked about in Breakthrough 120, is if they say a crazy number, you need to be able to talk them down and be like, this is more of a real number. If they go way too low, we're going to list it way too low and get multiple offers. But we will use the market to determine things. If we're getting crazy amounts of showings, offers on the first day, we're probably on the lower end of it. If we get no showings and no calls, nothing, we're probably on the higher end of things.
Is it a bad look that, let's just say you posted at 7:30 and the first week you get 20 showings and 5 offers? Is it a bad look to go raise the price?
Typically I wouldn't raise the price. I would just have all the offers we do a multiple offer situation and just have each of them bid themselves up. Yeah. And so then I'd keep the price the same. So that's why if you look back in like houses that sold in like 2020 and 2021, they'd be listed for like 600 and sell for 650. So like that was like normal. Potentially seems crazier to me. But the thing that's not crazy is 4 days on the market and they go under contract. Now it has been under contract for 30 days. So they're probably going to close pretty soon because that's pretty average for a closing. Yeah. Yeah, if you go, yeah, if it's more of a buyer's market, you probably pay more or real close to the list price. If it's a seller's market, you buy it for way under. Is typically how it goes. So right now the average we're like 97% from whatever you list for whatever you buy it. So so with this, like 725 and for them to sell at 750, like that's a pretty big jump. So who knows? So now the one last thing that I'm going to do is, and we'll just click and open a new tab. So we will always do a full search after this. So, okay, we imagine that we just did a search. I just did a full search under residential. I'm going to clear this all out and I'm going to choose the status of active. So we're just going to put some sort of a range and we are going to pretend like we are the ideal buyer for this house. So someone that buys a house, let's say 675 to 750, right? We're probably somewhere in that range. So a buyer looking into that range will find our house. And so then we're going to start to think like, okay, well, it's only going to be single family, but some people might be like Rambler Ranch, 2-story, tri-level, like who cares? We're open with whatever. And then I'd either draw out a map or start listing out cities. Like this is in Draper, but would you also buy in Riverton? Yes. Would you also buy in Sandy? Probably. Would you do Bluffdale? Yeah. And we can start listing out all of the cities around there where someone would buy or draw a little map. Then we're going to start putting in other things like, okay, it's not that new, but it's not that old either. So maybe like, I don't know, let's just call it 85 and do 2005, like that kind of range. But do buyers think like that? Not really. So who cares? But let's do not new. So let's do 2024 just to get those up. Total square footage, like maybe it's 2,500, maybe it's not more than 4,000. That seems really big difference. So we have 15 different houses that someone could look at. Now we need to judge how do we stack up because this is our competition. Like someone's going to go see these houses if we are also listed there. If we are the worst house that they go see, we will not sell. If we are the best house that they see, we will sell. The problem is the best house doesn't mean the same thing for everyone. Like I want big open areas in my house for my kids to run around. Other people would love enough bedrooms for their kids not to share bedrooms, kind of an idea. So then we just kind of look, how do we stack up against the competition? Like who's our buyer? What are they going to buy with us? And then go and find what else is out there. So we could actually look into some of these and be like, okay, this is brand new on the market up in Draper, but it's in Suncrest. So that one kind of sucks. You have to go up the mountain, but it's nice, like about the same size, about the same lot. Like, could someone potentially go see this one and our house? Maybe. Like, yeah, look at how nice this house is. Like, are you willing to go drive up the mountain to live here? Yeah. Yeah. So this would be a great comp. It's just up the hill a little bit further than us. But some people love that. Like, look at this awesome Suncrest thing. So then you start to say, what else would other people buy? And they're listed at 750 one day on the market. So if we're a little bit closer to the world, not up in the mountains, like, and they're 750, like maybe we could do that 750 as well. And this HOA, yeah, this HOA is 152 a month. Well, did we even have an HOA? No. So we might get more buyers because we don't have an HOA. So you can kind of look there. So the plan, so basically we're going to find the house to know what it is. We're going to do any sort of research to find everything on the house. Then we're going to find the closest houses similar to this house and come up with a range and an idea of what we would list it for. Then we are going to look at what else is selling for that to be our competition. So I'm going to give you guys some homework. If you have access to the MLS, I think all of you do, right? Mandy's the only one. Okay, Mandy, you don't have any homework. Congratulations. A plus. Oh. Okay, when you pay for it. I want you to do a CMA for someone. A random person, whoever comes to your mind that you know they have a house, you've walked through it, so you kind of know what they are. Get an idea of what the house would sell for and unsolicitedly send it to them. Say, hey, I was just doing random CMA in your house. I'm a real estate agent or near your house. Thought I'd do one for you. I think this is what your house is worth. That's it. Sometimes they'll sell it. Sometimes they won't. Yep. You should do this as much as you can. It will be